And not to mention, the federal indictments against him will almost surely disappear.
They're gone. Absolutely.
They'll disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah, he talked about putting the last 4 years behind us. Maybe those are some of the things that'll go away. And, you know, I also want to recognize something that Dana White said at the UFC, where he said this is karma. Just to hear that through the lens of his supporters, that they feel that between his convictions, impeachments, et cetera, that he has been persecuted and that this was their response to that. That was like a huge applause line in that room.
Yeah, I mean, think about it. This is a man who has been impeached twice, a man who has survived 2 assassination attempts, one of them very serious, 4 indictments, almost 100 charges, and he looks like he's going to have walked through all of it.
And he's at 34 counts, a convicted felon.
And well, when we'll see what happens on that conviction and what punishment he faces. I don't understand how a man like that couldn't feel tremendously empowered to do whatever he wants, because he has got the mandate. The system, I don't believe it was a persecution by the system or weaponization or legal, but he certainly does. And it seems to me he's going to feel they did their worst to me, and I survived it, and I thrived, and the country gave me a mandate.
I think probably there are a lot of Americans out there watching who are trying to make sense of tonight and trying to figure out why this happened. And I know that there are those who think that this is a manifestation of ugliness among their fellow Americans, that this is a vote for bigotry, and this is a vote for misogyny, or this is a vote for racism, et cetera. And I want to take a moment and just reflect on the fact that if you look at the reasons why the voters who decided this election voted the way they did, it is not because of those parts of the MAGA movement or Trump's comments in the past. It's not about vindicating Trump for the lawsuits or the criminal charges or the impeachments. The people who decided this election, the people in the battleground states who switched or who turned out, don't like the country as it is right now, mainly because of the 3 issues. And like the people like it or not, Donald Trump ran an issues-based campaign, whether or not his 2-hour stem-winder rally speeches covered all of it. It was mainly because of the economy and the beating that people are taking at the gas pump and in grocery stores, inflation, and immigration, and the fact that immigration, there is a crisis at the border. There has been for several years. The first couple of years of the Biden-Harris administration, they were in denial about it and acted as though anybody who asked about it was just reading right-wing talking points. And then also having to do with foreign policy and the standing in the world. Now, you can say, you can look at what's happening in Ukraine, and you can look at what's happening in the Middle East and all over the world, and believe that Trump had something to do with it, or not believe Trump had something to do with it. But it is true that there are wars going on right now that were not going on during the Trump presidency. I'm not saying that correlation, but I want to reassure, because I know that there are people out there who are worried that this is a statement, that this vote for Donald Trump is a statement of dislike of them. And I don't think that is what people should read into the election results.
The only point of which I agree with most of what you said, the only thing I would push back on is this is a man who would get up in rallies and say, I am your retribution. This goes back to what David Axelrod said. There obviously are millions of people in this country who feel that there's an elite, an inside game, that they're looked down on. As Axelrod said, where the party, the Democratic Party, approaches them almost like missionaries, like we want to help you and make you like us. And he was in effect saying, I'm representing you against those people. I agree that a lot of it doesn't have to do with misogyny and racism, but I do think that there's we talk about one of the big dividing lines here is college-educated people versus non-college educated people. I think there is certainly a class element.
I'm not dismissing any of that. I am saying that the people who either swung their votes, changed their votes, the people who decided this election. I'm not saying
But there's-
all 85 million or however many people ultimately ended up voting for Donald Trump did so for one monolithic reason. I'm just saying I think that people need to think about the economic reasons first and foremost.
That's what I was just going to say, is that one of the things that I think maybe the biggest thing that Donald Trump benefited from was the fact that he had been in the White House before. And the economy was better. Whether it was on him or not, the economy was better. And people remembered that. And that is such a fundamental across the board for pretty much everybody who voted for him.
Let's bring